guys, Ash here in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. Sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you're going through something and you need them out there today. Well, in preparation for today's video, no big deal, your boy did his homework and I watched for the first time Alien vs. Predator last night. And I have to say, unfortunately, I did not like it. It was not a huge fan. It was meh. But you know what I do like? I really love me some Xenomorph, guys. It's really cool. Obviously, they give us these, these login free loyalty, champions. Sometimes they really suck. Sometimes they're amazing. This time, this dude is actually really, really special. Whether you're a beginner, whether you're a mid-game player, or whether you're an end-game player, free to play, play to win, and everybody in between, I think you can get some value out of this champion. I'm going to show the best builds, and we're going to take him for a spin in some of my favorite and most strong areas for this specific champion. All that and more in today's video. Stay tuned. All right, so a few things that we like about this guy right out the gate, and this is true as of recently for the loyalty, login champions, and that is, listen, after 14 days, we can get his 2-star perfect soul. And then, this phase 2 portion of the Xenomorph chase, it's not that arduous. It's fairly easy. You're just going to be active in the game, basically, and just keep an eye on these little missions. And then you can get eventually a 3-star soul, a 4-star soul, and then a 5-star split soul. So we always talk about this, right? Getting a champion in Raid is cool, but it's not everything. Getting those awakenings really can bring them to the next level, and you can enjoy the full utility of these champions. So he has that built in, which I absolutely love. Moreover, the books are not that bad on this champion, considering especially how good he is. 3 levels with a cooldown on the A1, 3 levels, with a cooldown on the A2, and then only 2 levels on the A3. There are 2 levels on the passive, but they're really good because they get that poison from a 25 to a 50% chance. Now, aesthetically, I mean, he looks exactly like the alien should look, right? I don't know about Dark Elves, but the faction isn't the best anyway, and, his kit actually fits the faction, I think, better than the aesthetics, personally. He looks like maybe he should be a demon spawn to me, but either way, I think Dark Elves could use a little bit of love, so we'll take him, especially because he's actually really, really good in Faction Wars. Let's just start by talking about where we can use this dude, right? Dragon, Ice Golem. Keep in mind, poisons on the Ice Golem aren't going to trigger those big attacks. It has to be direct damage. We have Clan Boss, obviously, old school Daemon Lord. Arena. He's a really cool poisoner for Arena and for PvE as well. Faction Wars, Doom Tower Waves, Centranos, and that's really just the tip of the iceberg. So on his A1, it's exceptionally good as A1, right? We're placing 2 big versions of poison, and then a third of the attack is critical, so we always want 100% crit rate on this champion. He also has a perfect veil for 2 turns on his A1. That's nasty. I love that. He's pretty squishy, so that can mitigate damage, help keep him alive. Obviously, that's 15% less AoE damage from perfect veil, and he can't be targeted. On his A2, infestation. I mean, man, getting a hold... If this guy was a fusion, I would say, yeah, most players should go for him, because he has Infest, which is an incredibly strong debuff that deals pure damage. Attacks one enemy, but before attacking, which is crucial, he's placing a stun and an Infest debuff on the target for 2 turns. Now, stun can't get its extension extended, but its extension to duration extended. You can't get his extension extended, guys. You heard it here first. But 2-turn stun's so powerful, right? There's a handful of champions that have a 2-turn stun in the game. Talking like Taurus territory, right? Infest. It can have its duration increased to a 3 turn, so keep that in mind when we talk about masteries with Master Hexer. These debuffs cannot be resisted if the target's under a perfect veil. Place a true fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. This debuff also can't be resisted if the target's under a perfect veil. So this is really nice to have that irresistibility, but we still want to build him with accuracy, right? Because a lot of his damage, most of his damage, I would say, is predicated on his poisons and his infest, okay? Passive effect, revives this champion 50% HP, 50% turn meter whenever an enemy under an infest debuff dies. Pretty niche, honestly, pretty niche, but hey, we'll take it, right? This is an A2 ability. It's a monster ability. This is his best ability, right, in a nutshell. His Rip and Claw A3 can actually hit pretty hard. It's a 2-time hitter. Deals 15% more damage for each poison debuff on the target. So you can stick up to 10 poison debuffs on the target and really get that big 150% extra damage, or even a 70% extra damage is really nice, or 75, I should say. Also plays a perfect veil on the champion for 2 turns. So he has 2 moves that place a perfect veil for 2 turns. Fantastic, right? His Caustic Blood. It's kind of like Taragi the Frog-ish on his passive, right? Whenever this champion is attacked, has a 50% chance when booked to place a big version of poison on the attacker for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted or blocked if the attack is critical. Now, incoming critical attacks are more rare, right? In the arena, hey, we have a lot of chances to dish out poisons. Got to be careful about polymorph. We have a lot of chances. Against bosses, most bosses, not all, but most bosses in this game have around 15% crit rate, okay? If an enemy under a poison debuff placed by this champion if an enemy is under a poison debuff placed by this champion, decrease their defense by 20%. This is like the unsung hero of the kit, right? This is really nasty. We're always looking in this game for ways to escalate our damage that aren't the typical decreased defense and weaken. I mean, we want those too, but everything stacks up, right? And this is beautiful. It's like a cruelty blessing just built into this champion. It's really freaking nice, right? Or a third of the big version of decreased defense. It's really, really, really solid to have that there as well. So guys, let's put it all together. What are we looking at? Looking at a bunch of poisons and a built-in cruelty on his passive. We're looking at more poisons on his A1. We're looking at some damage on his A3. Perfect Veil for days to keep him alive. We've got a brand new debuff that only he has in Infest on his A2. He's got a 2-turn stun, neutralize the biggest threat on the battlefield. He's got a True Fear. By the way, he's placing these debuffs not predicated on his critical hit, right? Ooh, this is a nasty, nasty, nasty kit, okay? What does Infest do? Just in case you don't know yet, but honestly, there is a little confusion, and it always happens when there's a brand new debuff in the game. This is pure damage, meaning you can't get it to go higher or lower, right? You can't mitigate or accelerate this damage either. Whenever an enemy under an Infest debuff dies, deals pure damage to all other enemies alive. That means you can't mess with the damage, right? It's just the number is gonna be what you think the number is gonna be. You know, debuffs, decreased defense, something like that. It's not gonna add extra damage to this Infest ability. This pure damage equal to 50% of the enemy's max HP who died while under the Infest debuff. It can't be critical, yada, yada, yada. This is basically, again, it caps, by the way, on bosses at 10%, just like an enemy max HP ability. And you want to generally kill or place your Infest on the target with the most HP, right? So if you attack a Siphi with 100k HP, it's always going to be 50k HP, even if she's at low health, right? It's her max HP on all other targets alive. Really, really nasty in the arena, especially. Base stats. Okay, they kind of suck, right? Survivability is going to be something that you want to consider on this champion. I would always prefer going survivability, meaning sacrificing a little bit of attack to go HP to keep him alive, okay? So, you know, use that as you will, because he's still going to be doing a lot of damage from his poisons on his passive. He's going to be helping the team out in so many different ways, so you don't have to go absolutely crazy with the attack, especially if you're just in progression mode on your account. You want to make sure he's alive. Let's go into the builds here, guys. Let's go into the builds. His speed is mediocre too, at like 102 or something like that. Yes, 102 base speed. All right, so I have 3 builds for you guys, but I want to talk about 2 builds that I'm not going to use here, but just for elite endgame players, right? 9-piece Feral and 9-piece Merciless. Okay, 9-piece Feral, especially on this champion, is a strong consideration for PvE. Why? Because he's a poisoner. Allies deal 5% more damage for each debuff placed by the wearer. I mean, my man's hitting 3 poisons on the A1 and the passive as well. So you get a lot of escalating damage off of this passive, or excuse me, off the 9-piece bonus on a 9-piece Feral set, okay? Now, I realize not many people have all of that gear, all the accessories, so I'm not even going to show them in those builds, but I do want to point out the obvious. Also Merciless, you can either run them in a 6-piece or even a 9-piece Merciless to get extra turns. You know, so hey, if you have those gear on presets already on your account and you want to use them in your best gear, you want to try them out, go ahead and do so. I guarantee he won't let you down, okay? He has the chance to decrease the random skills cooldown on the 4-piece, the ignore defense on the 6-piece, and the extra turn on the 9-piece. That's nasty. That's nasty. But the 3 overall utility builds for this champion are going to be something like this. Triple perception is absolutely fine. I mean, we get the perception gear for this guy anyway as part of the logins. But, you know, we want accuracy, we want speed, and we want 100% crit rate. I'll repeat, in terms of the stat priorities, no matter who you are who you are building this champion, we want accuracy, we want 100% crit rate for that extra poison on the A1, and then we want some speed on this dude, okay? After that, survivability, attack is nice to get more damage out of him, and just depending on the build, obviously crit damage and whatnot. We'll talk about that in a moment. I like retaliation on this dude, man. Getting a counterattack is really freaking solid, right? So even if you're running one of the other builds we talk about, getting me a counterattack on this guy will dish out 3 more big versions of poison and put my man under a perfect veil. That's really good. So retaliation, don't sleep on it. I also want to talk about some killer combos with this champion, so stay tuned for that as well. One of them, I'll just say right out the gate, is Michelangelo, who you all have as well. All right, back to Xenomorph. So this is like a super simple build. I have a couple pinpoint accessories. It's nice to have, not mandatory to have, for some accuracy, and then perception and retaliation. Now, I think probably a more popular mid and end game build is going to be something like Utility 1 here, as I so eloquently call it. But basically a Savage and Cruel, or Savage and Stone Skin in the arena, or Lethal and Cruel, or Lethal and Stone Skin in the arena. 4-piece Lethal, 4-piece Stone Skin, just like you would any other damage dealer, okay? This way we can get some damage out of him. Speaking of damage, let's take a quick look at his multipliers. So his multipliers, thanks to hellhades.com, are actually really good. He has a 3.9 on his A1. That's a nice, strong A1. He has a 5.9 on his A2. Again, really nice damage. And then he has a 3.1 plus 0.15 for each poison on the target. It's a godlike damage rating, but it really is predicated on how many poisons are on the target. I will say, though, keep in mind, it's a 2-time hitter, right? So we're getting a 6.2, right, off the 2 hits, plus the extra with the poisons. That can add up, and it can hit really, really dang hard, which is super, super nice. Okay, those are his multipliers. So Savage, Cruel, etc., etc. I'm not going to show this build on him, but I saw that Bronco did a video on this build. It's a solo build, like regeneration and immortal, right? So my man, just because of all the poisons that he has in his kit and the perfect veil is to help him stay alive as well a little bit, he can solo some content, okay? That being said, personally, I just don't think he's the best solo champion out there, right? It is rather gear intensive when you get to the higher levels. So I think there's just better options out there. But yeah, he can solo, or better yet, duo some dungeons with champions like Mithrala, Michelangelo, stuff like that. But just like any other strong poisoner, he does have that ability to do so. And I'll link a video for you guys in the description below. So we're going to stick with Utility 1 here. I'm even going to use this build in the arena, but again, in the arena, generally we want Stone Skin with the Savage, not Cruelty. Instead of Cruel gear, you could also go with Retaliation. We just spoke about why. The stats that we're going to be rocking on him are very modest. 4,600 on the attack. His attack doesn't scale that well, so 4,600, still going to have some good numbers here. We do have him rather fast, which is nice at 301 speed. He's well over crit capped at a 111. 100 is all you need, and then he has some crit damage and some accuracy. 363 on the accuracy. We're a little bit on the low side. I'm not going to lie there on the accuracy. We do have accuracy, though, on the banner, and we are going to be using an accuracy aura in this video because we're going to be using Michelangelo as our team lead. But I think this is fine. 363 accuracy, plus any advanced Great Hall bonuses that you may have, I think is fine for most areas of PvE, especially considering when you add in the perfect veil, everything becomes irresistible on that A2 ability, okay? Anyway, blessings. We're all going to get them 5-star eventually. You have some options here, right? You really have, in terms of relics and blessings, we have an option whether you're going to gravitate towards PvE or PvP with your Xenomorph. Now, I think that even though he's really fun in the arena, I think the safe bet, especially at first, is to build him for PvE, because you can certainly use him in all the areas that I outlined earlier, like Faction Wars and Tranos, etc. So for the arena, I think that Lethal Dose is probably your best bet. But you know, I think that overall, for early game, I think you can just go Brimstone, by the way. Get that extra damage. We're going to be building in with accuracy to land the Smite anyway, even at 5 stars. So for early game, I would probably just go with Smite on this dude. But I think that Nature's Wrath for PvE, generally speaking, is going to be the best overall blessing for Xenomorph. He's going to increase the damage inflicted by this champion for 3% for every debuff they play successfully, up to 15%, which is nice because we're building him with crit damage, with crit rate, so he is kind of a nuker and a damage dealer, so we can get escalation on all his other abilities, which really kind of parlays nicely with the damage escalation that is already built into his kit on that A3 ability. So Nature's Wrath is going to be the way to go. On relics, so I am on the test server for the first time ever, no big deal. I'm actually pretty excited about it, and my account has no relics. So listen, in the arena, I'd go Arakan Elixir. Surprise, surprise. Arakan Elixir does extra damage based on the attacker's attack stat, right? So we can, you know, level that up for even more damage, but it's just busted. So Arakan Elixir for sure. The Arithi Coronet is going to be your best bet for PvE. Here it is. Whereas damage increases by 1% each time they place a debuff, up to 30%. We can escalate that escalation as well. There we go. Also other considerations here. Pert Shadow. I mean, Pert Shadow is one of the best epic relics in the game, where it has a 10% chance to receive an extra turn when using their default skill, as long as at least one active skill is on cooldown, and we can book that up and level that up as well. So those would be my best and top relic considerations for this champion. All right, guys, so for masteries on this champion, this is my favorite loadout here. You do have some options, though, but let me tell you about some of my favorite masteries that I would not leave home without. And on the support tree, they're all on the support tree. I'm picking up my accuracy, but man, Arcane Celerity on a champion like this that dishes out so many poisons, yeah, we get a lot of extra turn meter if we pick up Arcane Celerity. I do like Sniper on this guy. I think Sniper is imperative on this guy because of that passive, right? I mean, every percentage counts. We want to land those poisons every time he's attacked, so Sniper's fantastic. And of course, Master Hexer as well. So my favorite 3 masteries on this guy are actually Arcane Celerity, Sniper, and Master Hexer. I would always go with those personally. On the offensive side of things, you can see I've gone with Helm Smasher, which is great. It works great against champions, wave content, or in the arena, but there's nothing wrong with just hugging the left-hand side here and ending with War Master as well. If you're only using him in PvE and you want to use him against Demon Lord and a bunch of bosses as well, I'd probably err on the side of War Master. So you do have that option there on the offensive tree. Hellhades.com, I will link the page that they have on him, but this is what they recommend for general PvE. And the only thing I would change is I would pick up Arcane Celerity and Sniper, as I've already said, no matter what. And I would probably make some, actually, wait. They're missing one right over here. They can pick it up anyway. There it is. All right, so that would be my recommendation, guys, on masteries. So with that said, guys, today we're going to have defense on the ring. I didn't have a pinpoint attack ring in Dark Elves, but I'll take the defense anyway. I have crit damage on the amulet. I have accuracy. Everybody's going to want to go accuracy for the most part, unless you're end game. You really want to get a lot of attack, maybe attack with the Arakan Elixir as well. On the banner, we have crit damage on the gauntlets. Crit rate in the early game is totally fine as well. Crit rate 100% is imperative on this champion. And then we have attack percentage on the chest. We have speed on the boots. And that's about it, right? So that's how you want to generally build your Xenomorph. Let's take him into battle here, guys. Listen, I'm going to go Doom Tower all the way to the tippity top, right? Now, listen, we gotta talk about Mikey. Why is Mikey such a strong combo with this dude? Well, he's a debuff spreader, right? So keep in mind, okay, one thing that you guys just saw that you're going to know eventually anyway is he autos opening with his A3. I really don't like that. You just can go in there with the team setup and make sure you're opening with the A2 instead. But ideally, yeah, he'd be just auto opening into the A2. I did notice, unfortunately, hate to report bad news here, but I did notice that his AI is kind of funky when he's on auto. So just, it's not that big of a deal to mitigate. You just have to go into your team preset and prioritize the A2, Infestation. So Infestation, again, we want to target the enemy with the highest HP. I assume that looks like it's probably Soulless here. So we're going to go in, we're going to land the 2-turn stun, beautiful, 3-turn infection on this dude. Oh, that's plenty of time. So I'm using just Poisoners generally work well with him. I have Taurus, who's the best AoE poisoner out of epics in the game. And then I have Rector Droth, just to provide some healing and Perfect Veil. Why not? Because keep in mind, he does bring his own Perfect Veil, but now we have Rector on the team to ensure it's there more often, so nothing can be resisted. Check out Mikey. In case you forgot, his express delivery is A2 ability, right? Debuff spread, taking not one, not two, but all debuffs from the target and placing them on all enemies. Man, that is a nasty combo. One of the best spreaders was the last free champion that we got before this free champion. So who are we going to attack? Obviously, Solus again. And now everybody is infested. Everybody's infested. So now we can just kind of just chill. And you're going to see eventually Solus, we're going to kill Solus right now. Boom. And then 86,000 damage, I mean, look at all that damage. Isn't Infest a beautiful thing? It's reliable too, you know, like it's just going to be like we talked about earlier. There's no way to get more damage, but there's no way to get less damage, right? All right, who has the most HP now? Well, it looks like everybody's kind of close here. So let's just go there. And you can see the true fear. Unfortunately, they're all taking their turns anyway. Don't like that. And then he dies. It's okay. We'll pick him right back up with, for my money, the low-key best epic reviver in the game. All right, Mikey going with some A3. Get that taunt on there. And now, obviously, he benefits from increased attack quite a bit. It doesn't really matter who we target here. He loses his turn anyway. Sure. And then we'll go in just A1. And then, sure. And then what I'm actually going to do, guys, is I think at this point, well, who has the poisons? No one really has poisons on them that much, so let's just go down there. You know, the damage isn't that bad, but it's not like, I don't think it's going to blow you away so much. That's why I said earlier, focus on survivability and crit rate, you know? You need 100% crit rate no matter what, but I don't think you have to overdo it unless you're trying to rack an elixir strategy in the arena on the attack and the crit damage on this champion. I think it's all that infest. And, you know, because, you know, I'm stating the obvious here, but it doesn't have to be him who kills the enemy under infest, right? It could be anybody who kills the enemy under infest, and you're going to get that massive bonus damage of half of the original target's HP. I'm going to watch this team on full auto for a moment here. We're going to go into the... into Dragon's Lair. Unfortunately, he just placed the infest right before the next wave, which is kind of a bummer. But let's see. So that's his A1. It's weird. We really, like I said earlier, we almost want this guy to use his A1 in a vacuum over his A3, right? Because we get the perfect veil still off that A1. And we also get the 3 poisons, which is fantastic. So it's not like we don't want him to use his A3, but we'd rather him use that last in a lot of situations, right? But I think that infest is really fun. Do you guys think it's going to be a Xenomorph only debuff? Or do you think they'll end up adding a bunch of champions with it? I think they'll end up adding champions with it over time, but you know, you never know. You can see he's just annoying, right? He's just annoying on the battlefield. A lot of poisons, really good poison synergy. A Chemtum would be fun to pair him with as well. But most importantly, I love putting him with a debuff spreader. Here, when I have things right now on full auto, you can see things aren't always going to work out the way that we want them to. But I am going to be curious at his final damage here. And then we're going to do Dragon. I would love to do Faction Wars, but I don't have the crypt open right now. But I think you guys get the point, right? In terms of the wave content, like, okay, we get it. He can basically, it's not a combust poisons, but he has that beautiful synergy, and you can tell his damage is just insane, right? Like, you're going to be really impressed with this guy's damage. All right, and that's for 119 of Doom Tower Hard. You know, it's not, they have high HP, they're tanky, etc. Let's go to Dragon Hard 10, and let's run him on this team. Very similar team, but I'm putting Narma on the team as well, right? So let's go in here. I'm keeping Mikey in there. It doesn't have to be Mikey. Any spreader, debuff spreader will work, but there's not that many who can spread everything. That's why Mikey is so good with him. So of course we opened up with the freaking A3 again. All right, now we can go in. So we did things the wrong order there, and I'm not sure I necessarily, Laberga is the highest. Ooh, that was nice. So we're trying to get a kill there on the infest. There we go. Oof. It wasn't that insane damage on that infest, but it's still nice. I'll come back when we get to the dragon, guys. Here we go against the dragon. So you can see he's placing the, wow, Narma. Insane damage there. You can see when he's hit, he's placing more, obviously, poisons on the dragon as well. Don't forget about that passive, right? Really nice. Let's see if Narma can combust those again. It's crazy how Narma went from so awful to just one of the better poisoners out there in the game. It's really fun, too. Like, I love it. All right. So, yeah, Narma got all that combust damage, excuse me. There we go. Let's sell the helm, and let's move over to Demon Lord Clan Boss, then we'll end in the arena really quickly. So I can't run the whole auto quick battle because I haven't done it on the dev build yet. But check out this team. We got a Dark Kale, another good synergy champion because he can combust poisons with his A1 ability. He also brings poisons and poison sensitivity. So this is kind of a fun all poison all the time team here, right? All right. It's nice to have a combustor, if you have one, on the same team as a Xenomorph, especially mid-game, end-game, if you have a poison combustor, because those poisons, you're going to stack up. See, we're already doing it. You're going to stack up those 10 debuffs pretty dang quickly. So it's nice to keep churning them and activating them as well with somebody else on the team. That's why Dark Kale, who's a Doom Tower normal farmable champion, I think is a really good pairing with him. But you can see this is a fun little team here. We have Mithrala, Narma, Dark Kale, Rio Bone Spear, and Xenomorph. And I don't think we're going to be dying, even though we don't have a reviver. Famous last words, right? But you can see all those activations. Really nice. I think he's very, very nice for Clan Boss because not only is he placing the 3 poisons on the A1, but he also has the poisons on that passive. So just a lot of poison damage. Kind of reminds me of old school champions that can dish out a ton of poisons, kind of like an occult brawler way back in the day. Remember him? Man, he used to be my GOAT in the olden days of Demon Lord Clan Boss, you know? So yeah, just really, really capable for that poison damage. You saw the A3 there, guys? You can see the damage is nice. The damage escalation that he gets on the A3. Let's watch one more A3 from Xenomorph. 194. That was his A2. Hits pretty hard, too. And this is without an increased attack. Mithrala, step in. So now he has it, of course. He did what, about $170 or so, but there weren't the poisons on. Okay, I lied. One more rotation. We'll test out the damage on that A3 ability, okay? All right. So I think that's his A2, 309,000. And here comes the A3. And, of course, we're right out rotate. Okay, there it is, the increased attack. Okay, so, hey, not bad, right? 700,000 plus damage. Not bad at all. Not bad at all in terms of raw damage there as well. Yeah, he's pretty impressive for old school Demon Lord, right? I mean, easy 10 million in only 2 minutes. Not bad at all. All right, let's get out of here. Let's go into the arena. My first time ever in the arena here on the dev build, but we really don't want to go against a Mithrala team. So let's just go over here. I put this team, excuse me, Marishka team rather. I'm still running them with Mikey. Why not, right? And then we have Nell as well. Just more poison. I'm just trying to think of different like poison combos that we could think of. Calvalax as well. If we wanted to go like all poison strategy. Actually, Nell's just going to steal the show and kind of do some nice damage right out the gate there. Unfortunately, we can cleanse that right off. And here we go. Who has the most HP here? I mean, it might actually be Embry's, but he has block debuffs anyway, so we're going to go after Siffy. And he just, this is another beautiful thing to realize about that infest is it happens automatically, right? It happens right away. So you can place that debuff because it happens before the attack, right? Really, really nice. I know we mentioned it earlier, but it's worth reiterating. Pizza delivery. Oh, you can't get the kill. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, let's do Layla. Sorry, Layla. Sorry. Here we go. Let's do it again here. And hopefully the same thing will happen. But I hope you guys saw that. It's important to know the A2, if we were to get the kill on this A2, it would do the damage as well, right? Anyway, let's go. It's probably Siffy again, but let's go Ursuga. I wasn't sure about her resistance because I only have, I'm kind of low on the accuracy right now on this build. Okay. And then we can take the debuff spread, or we can just kill him. All right, let's end against Farstov here, guys, but I'm going to need, unfortunately, I think I'm going to need a little bit more speed on my team to go first over this squad. So let's see what we can do here. Let's see what we can do. Let's go in. Marius might just kill him out the gate. Let's see. No, we're okay. We'll cleanse that away, and then we'll go in with the A2. It's already going to be Siffy here. She got the resist. She got the resist. That's a bummer. Now, the good news is we still killed her. So we can't be too upset about it. But we did get that resist. Otherwise, we would have done that damage, and you know the rest, right? Let's go. Well, there's nothing to do here except for dish some poisons out on Laz. Go ahead and remove that. Go in there. Get the turn meter increase. And we're on. Oh, come on. At least the poisons worked. Guys, listen. You're going to love this champion. He's beautiful. He's a great champion. I think he's a fantastic option for one of these free login champions. Like he's quite unique, you know, compared to some of the other champions we've gotten in the past who are just like, okay, very, very niche. But this guy's like niche in a very special way, right? Infest is super strong. Let me know what you think of this champion, guys. Thanks for watching till the end of the video. By the way, tomorrow, I have a really special collab talking about the big reveal for the December update. That should be a lot of fun. But hey, in the meantime, why not check out the conversation I had with Cruisen all around Predator, the champion, past champion. He gives all his thoughts and the best build, etc., etc. Guys, thanks for watching till the end of the video. Much love. And as always, take care, guys.